Nathaniel Perry. And of course, the topic is the Nashville Metropolitan Black Yellow Pages. And of course, Ms. Black, during this last segment, let's give you and Mr. Perry an opportunity to sort of inform our audience of some of the things that you've not had an opportunity perhaps to talk about today, or perhaps something that you'd like to re-emphasize, and then we'll be able to sort of close this show for today. Let's start with you, Ms. Black.
Okay, I'd like to re-emphasize the fact that the 13th edition of the Black Yellow Pages will be hitting the streets. I'm pushing for the end of March, but to be on the safe side, I would say the first week of April. Again, there are distribution centers around town where a person can go by and pick up a complimentary copy. They can call the Black Yellow Pages office. Our number, of course, is listed, but then 321-0807 is the number. And of course, I wanted to make mention that this year's directory is being dedicated to the president and CEO of WVOL, John Helderberg. And so throughout the directory, you will find historical data on its beginning and how it changed hands over the years, along with other historical data that I usually provide each year. As you know, each directory has been dedicated to someone in the Davidson County area. One year we did a dedication to Sister Lucille Barbie. Wilma Rudolph has been one of our dedication person. Dr. Punder, who is the former president at Fisk University. And so this year, like I said, the 13th edition will be hitting the streets the first week in April.
Now, Ms. Perry, looking at these short biographical sketches, I would imagine that that's what they are when you talk about these various individuals. How would you present that kind of information to an audience on the internet?
Well, it's really as simple as it's already been presented in the book. Only thing you do is take the information and transfer it to the internet. And of course, you know that there are HTML codes that you have to write, and photos have to be in a JPEG or GIF format, but it's just as simple as putting it in that type of format to accept it over the internet. So it's not a difficult project, but getting it just right is the part that's a lot different.
And so what you're saying is that those individuals who might be watching the show this morning, who might have moved their project up to the point that Ms. Black has her project, should also think in terms of expanding their own readership and their own audience by way of dealing with the internet. Is that what you're saying?
The internet is a vehicle to hit a lot of eyes so that people can see your information or your services or whatever. It's a vehicle that you can put a lot of eyes onto your project in a short period of time, and a most least expensive way of doing it as well. So if you're thinking about running some services or producing, one way of doing it is to put it in the Black Yellow Pages, of course, because a lot of people already are familiar with it and have those magazines and expect them annually. But now that the Black Yellow Page is going online heavily, you'll be able to be seen by a lot more people, because it's going to be where the association is actually making sure that each other are sharing their websites. So, you know, it's not just one city now, it's more cities. People come to here through Nashville a lot.
You know, Ms. Black, what occurred to me is that since you're dealing with 13 editions of this document, it seems that you've got an excellent source of historical information that you can use. And while we might be talking about putting volume 13 by way of the internet, you do have all those others that you have, I'm sure, in your archive.
Oh, yes, I
that
do.
It would be possible for you to put volume from 1 through 13 and allow individuals to use it as that method.
Well, now, as I said earlier, I have had a website up for some time now, and last year I had every copy of the directories that I have published on my site. Now, of course, you couldn't open each directory up. If you know anything about computers, that costs a little money. But my intent or my future plan would be to have that edition for that year up and running. And the person needs to read some historical or contact one of the African American businesses or the corporations that advertise, you will be able to find it now online.
Very good. And of course, we've got about a minute and 20 seconds before the show ends for today. And that'll give both of you an opportunity to make some final comment before we end the show today. Why don't you make a final comment, Mr. Perry?
Well, Dr. Haney, I found it very interesting to work on this project. I mean, I've actually learned a lot about the history of Nashville through working on this book, and I appreciate that, Ms. Black, for doing that, because it's really interesting to see things like the bookmobile that used to pass through Nashville and the reservoir. I didn't know it actually collapsed at one time, and those things that are actually in this historical data book, and I really appreciate some of the historical facts that are in this book.
Very good. Working and learning.
Yeah, working and learning.
Working and learning all at the same
Okay,
time.
Ms. Black, final comment, and then...
Okay, I want to, my final comment would be to the listening audience, if you have a business or service that is not presently in the directory, you need to be in there. I did a commercial one time where I made mention that advertising doesn't cost, it pays.
Amen. And I think that Mr. Perry would also agree with that. And let me thank the two of you, Ms. Black and Mr. Perry, for coming by and giving us that excellent information about the Nashville Metropolitan Black Yellow Pages. And of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.